Yeah, and we're so glad that everybody's here today because today is a special day. Today is what we're calling Student Sunday, all right? And it's all about our youth program. It's from grades 6 through 12. And that's good, right? This is a good day. It's exciting. It's very exciting. It's a very good thing. We should absolutely give attention to the youth of our country and especially in our churches. We should give attention to them in our homes, in our community, and like I said, especially in our churches. So this is definitely a very, very good day. And honestly, I mean the students are here a lot if you think about it, because they come on Sunday morning and then they come back on Wednesday for 2 more hours, and then sometimes they help volunteer around the church. So honestly, some of the students are here more than most adults are. So so it's good for them to give a good day, a good day. So, but the main reason why we're going to have this day today is because it's time to kick the program back off into action, right? It's time to get it back into action for a few reasons. One, obviously, the pandemic has kind of hurt ministries worldwide, so I think we're all trying to figure out where we're at, right, going forward, how we're going to do things. And also, too, because we usually have Student Sunday at this time anyway in the season, because over the summer we have like a relaxed meeting schedule. It's bi-weekly. We hang out and have some fun. And then whenever school gets kicked back in, everybody's starting to get back into routine a little bit, starting to get back into normal schedule. So then it's time to start students back up too. That way we can just, kick back in. So now, yes, we're meeting weekly. And yes, we want to start our student program back up. We cannot neglect the youth of our culture. And honestly, too, you guys should be concerned, right? I mean, you should be concerned. What is the church teaching our youth, especially, our little ones, because we got High Rock kids. That's birth through 5th grade. And then after that, they're passed up to the student program, 6th through 12th grade. So, I mean, what goes on beyond the doors of High Rock kids? What goes on beyond the doors of High Rock students, right? I mean, these should be questions that we ask ourselves. And so today, that's one reason what we want to do. We want to show you, what goes on, and also how important it really is. So if you don't have a child of student age or may not know any, I ask you, don't check out on me today, because this message honestly is for everyone. Like, for instance, we're going to start off today in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 6, and we're going to do some Bible jumping today, all right? We're not going to hang out in the same spot, but I also want to show you this from God. So we came out of a series that was called Journey to the Promised Land. And we talked about, getting to the Promised Land. And then in week 4, Pastor Mike finished it up with We're Here, Now What? Right type of message. How do we sustain the Promised Land? Because we've gotten here. Now, how do we sustain this? So in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verses 6 through 7, this is how God is telling the new generation who's about to conquer the Promised Land how to help sustain when they get there. And he says this. He says, "And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise." So this is everybody's responsibility. God doesn't say, hey, parents, this is what you need to be doing. He's talking to the whole community. Look, everybody, make sure you're teaching the young, right? Make sure you're teaching the youth. Make sure you're telling them my commandments. Make sure you're passing on, my goodness. Make sure you're teaching them my ways and how good I am, because we need to do this, right? Because God is very adamant about this. So why would God be adamant that the community is teaching the youth about him? Well, because whenever a generation fails to pass on the commandments of God to the upcoming generation, then a society will quickly decline. And we've seen it all throughout history. I mean, you can read in the Old Testament, the cycle of sin that Israel goes through. Not just that, we've seen in other cultures. And honestly, we're seeing it right now in our culture. We want to take God out of everything, and now we're facing the consequences of it. Because really, see, what we have in Christianity, we have this baton. Like in relay races, you have multiple people running, and then the one runner, he'll pass the baton to the other person, and they'll start running. That's what we've had ever since the cross of Jesus Christ. They've been passing down this baton of Christianity from generation to generation. All right, so now we have the baton, so what are we going to do with it? Are we going to instill God's laws? I don't want it to end with me. right? So this isn't just a responsibility we have. This is an assignment from God. This is an assignment. This is part of God's will, is that we will carry on this message to our upcoming generations. So it's everybody's responsibility. So yeah, okay, so we see that the student ministry is absolutely valuable, right? And it's just as important as any other ministry that's going on in any other church, all right? So what happens? What happens at High Rock students? All right, so first I want to, kind of introduce you to the program. Like I said, it's our 6th through 12th graders, all right, middle school and high school. And so for the past 2 years, I've been the interim student pastor. And I've had a great time, man. I tell you what, I've had a great time. And really, it's nothing new for me. I have 4 children. I got everything from a 2-year-old to a 15-year-old. So basically, I have like a youth group at home, right? Like I got my own ministries at home. So, I mean, it's nothing new. All I'll do is leave work, come here, and bam, there I am doing the same thing again, right? So, yeah. So, I mean, it's been fun. But I mean, it is, it's cool to get to know the students, and you hear a lot of interesting things. Like, for example, you might ask them, you say, so, hey, guys, so why is it so important for us to be, quiet during Sunday morning service? And they'll say, well, because everybody's sleeping, so you don't want to wake anybody up. And too early for everybody to be sleeping yet, right? You're still awake, coffee's still working, so maybe the joke didn't take right there. So, but anyway, but honestly, so I've had the privilege of helping guide our youth through such a pivotal time in their life, because it really is, and actually the statistics say that 70% of Christians in high school don't practice their faith in high school. I mean, there's probably a lot of obvious reasons why for that. And even more, disturbing, just about as many do not practice at all in college as well. So it's pretty cool that I've got to be involved in their life to the point where I can help shape and guide them through this pivotal time in their life, so that way they can, not only keep their faith while they're in high school and practice it and grow with God, but also be able to be rooted in their faith. So that way when they leave high school and go into the college, into the real world, they have more to grow on. So it's just been such an honor and such a privilege for me. Because, we want to help try to get through as less damage as possible. Because I know for me, in middle school and high school, I got involved in a whole bunch of, negative stuff. And so, yeah, so I know what it's like to be later on in life. You try to clean yourself up, and there's a lot of damage to deal with, So I want to try to help the kids not have to deal with that as well, especially my kids, because I don't want to have to help, pay for them. I want them to leave the house, and there we go. But as with any good thing, some good things must come to an end, right? So this year it was time for me to step away as the student leader, okay, as a student pastor. But there's been a couple that's been there the whole time. I tell you, man, they've been there the whole time, and they're just so involved. There's real spiritual people. Their family is just really well, just really nice people. I mean, good integrity. And, I just feel like, we prayed about it a lot, man. I feel like that we were able to pass the baton of the students to a couple who is very well fit to oversee the program, And so I'm just so excited to see them do this. So for the moment, I want them to come up here and tell you a little bit about the program, okay? So for one, remember, it's tough to speak in front of people. You know what I'm saying? It's tough to get up in front of crowds. So let's encourage them. And not only this is the people who are taking over the student program. These are the ones who are leading and guiding our youth now, okay? So let's give them a lot of encouragement. Let's give them a lot of support. Let's give them a High Rock welcome when they come up here, okay? So Daniel and Crystal Patrick, will y'all please come up here for a moment?
Good morning, church. So glad to be here this morning. I am Daniel Patrick, and this is my wife of 21 years, Crystal, and we are your High Rock Students Ministry leaders. Thank you. Go ahead. Just wanted you guys to be able to put a name with a face with a name, because that's always important. The goal and purpose of the ministry is like any other ministry. Is to convert and make disciples. We want to lead students into a relationship with Christ through mentorship, instruction, and equip them for good works. Can't leave God out for the sake of having fun. We want to keep the main thing, and that is Jesus. We have a big facility. If you haven't been back there, if you haven't seen it, it's through this door. Also next to the restrooms, you can get back there to the student ministry area. We have pool tables, ping pong tables, foosball, air hockey, volleyball, soccer, basketball, arts and crafts, and a chalk wall that currently says Jesus Rocks. Gymnastics, couches, and video games. We have a lot of fun in there. It's a great facility and environment. We try to have a fun program but still be spiritual. The flow of the evening is like this. We meet up in the student center at 6 p.m. The students come in. They'll sign in at the front desk, and then they have free time. They'll get a snack. Everybody funnels in. And then we have the kids' corral. Kid corral, if you have siblings, because we're like that. We have our twins that are under that 6th grade prerequisite from 6 to 12th grade. And they have to go with us. So we're there. If you're in that same boat, please get with Crystal or myself, and we can schedule it. We can schedule something. We can work something out. Is what I'm trying to say. Don't not bring your students because you have younger ones. Is what I'm trying to say. Eventually, we'll work our way to the message. We have a pre-message game. The last one we did was combination locks. The message was memorization, verse memorization, and we did combination locks. Derek's smiling. And we had to unlock the combination locks and remember that and get back. But the games that we have, I try to tie those in with the message. The Student Center has a stage, and we've been learning in there. Bible study occurs in here, and then we take place in the Student Center in the back. If you go back there, you'll see the stage. We have a computer set up with a TV monitor, and we put the verses on there so the students can see it. The message is relevant and understandable for the age range. We talk about topics that they're going through. We do this in different ways, through series, through reading the Bible. And we also encourage the students to give a message because there's no better way to learn than to teach. We encourage families. So family holidays that we have, Mother's Days and Father's Days, we prepare them for that. We help them make those gifts. We also try to do things for the holidays. Like Thanksgiving, we had a gratitude tree. Each week, the students would come in. They would write down what they're thankful for on a leaf and place that leaf onto the tree, and we end up filling that tree with leaves. Christmas time, we made Christmas cards for the elderly. And, of course, we party for the holidays, too. We wrapped each other up in wrapping paper. Sometimes we change it up a bit. We may have a movie night. Last movie we seen was Overcomer. We'll try to find a Christian picture and watch it and then discuss it. We want the students to give back. The students have worked in the clothes closet, and we have mass donations. That Wednesday that comes around, the students will go in and help Miss Vicki sort those clothing for that clothing closet. So we will continue to do that. Small groups. After the message, sometimes we break into small groups. There's a lot to learn. We learn a lot about them, and they learn a lot about us. Usually we like it to be the same gender. So the young ladies will go with Crystal, and the young men will stay with me. It's always led by an adult. This is where a lot of growth happens. It's like connect groups. For those of you who are familiar with the connect groups. It's about building relationships and trusting one another. I'm big on this. Students getting to know each other, so sometimes we stay in a big group. And after the message, we may have a meal or snacks and play. We have usually once a month we have a meal. The first of this month was spaghetti. We've given out hot chocolate. We like to do group games. I encourage group games, and kickball is one of our favorites, and that's what we like to do. We also like to take trips. Last Christmas we went to High Point, went to the walk through Bethlehem with the students. and everyone seemed to enjoy that. It was a good time. Of course, the biggest win for the ministry was that we had 2 salvations and 8 baptisms last year. We've seen a change in the students. Students talking who normally wouldn't. We're able to have a place for students to talk about their personal issues. And to me, those are wins. Students coming to the ministry knowing Jesus as their Lord and Savior. They're learning how to apply the Bible in their daily lives. They're building relationships with people that they wouldn't normally have built with outside of coming to students. We've got all the schools in the county. These guys are in here: Central, West, South. We got all of them in here, and they wouldn't normally communicate with each other being at those schools, but here they do, and they get that fellowship with like-minded students. I'd like to see the future of the program. I want to see every student that's in this church attend High Rock students. I'd like to see the parents come and be involved. We need volunteers. I'd like for the students that come to invite their friends. You don't have to be a member of the church to come. Invite your friends. I'd like to see them living like Jesus in their daily lives. That's what it comes down to. And I'd like to see the college students return and assist with the program, being brought up in that program. I'd like to get some volunteers, like I said, to help with the ministry. I think right now we have 3, and we could use some more. If you have any questions or concerns or comments about the student ministry program, I'll be at the pastor's corner at the end of the message, and we can discuss it. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you, sir. Man, you did a good job. You just want to finish this thing up today? Yeah, so as you see, I mean, students, the student program's in good hands. And, I go there as well. Like I said, my kids, we go out. I do appreciate the kid corral that's there, because I know a lot of times that, people who have the same students, have children, and that maybe affect the volunteering. And so instead of combating that, we just worked with it. And so, we made the corral. We have Lucy Daniels. She teaches them good God stuff, so they're learning about God at the same time. And that helps me, that way I can bring my little ones up here too. And, that way we can all come together. So it's good, So as you see, the student program, even though, we've got a lot of challenges to face this year, it's still healthy. It's still healthy. But we definitely want to grow. We definitely want to mature for the sake of Jesus Christ, because we want to reach as many youth as we can. And that's kind of what I'm going to start getting into now, is really the behind the scenes, like the importance of it, really, and what's going on. And, but, there's a lot to do. It is a lot to do for people, and especially to be able to build relationships with students, because one thing we do is we try to, we work around, we try to talk, and build that relationship to the point to where if something is going on with one of them, then they feel comfortable enough to talk to us. We have built that trust enough, and that's hard to do with just a few people, to really be able to to build those relationships, which we are doing now, but it'd be even better if we had a little bit more people in there to be able to build those relationships even more, to help us go around, and speak with students as well. And that's kind of where it comes down to the church. That's where it comes down to people to be able to help out, to be able to volunteer. So it's not only about showing students, hey, look, you have a good, safe place to come and meet people, a good, safe place to learn about God, but also at the same time, it's asking people to help be able to volunteer. Because for one thing, because students, does need you. Because, think about it like this. You could be the person to help change somebody's life. You could be the person to help talk to a youth and help guide their whole future in the future, because, parents, you know as well as I do, sometimes it's hard to reach our kids, it's like you start talking to them and they start getting this little glazed look over their eyes, and you're like, are you there? Are you still here? Sometimes I think we got to talk to our kids like with a combination of like baseball signals and like airplane air traffic controllers. It's like, I need you to clean your room. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Right? So, yeah. So, parents, you know as well as I do, you can tell your kids something 100 times and somebody else tells them something and they're like, oh, guess what so-and-so said? And you're like, really? I've been saying that for 6 months, but hey, great, awesome, you heard it, whatever. That can be you, So see, parents need your help because we're going to say the exact same things they are probably, but they're going to hear it from somebody else. So, see, you get to be that person. But not just that, but the students need us, man. The students need us. The students need to walk into a place where there's people there that greet and welcome there and say, hey, look, we're here for you. Here I am, right? You're not invisible to me. Because think about like the age ranges we're talking about, middle school and high school. I remember those days, we feel like we're talking and nobody's listening. We feel like we're invisible. We feel like we got so much to say and we got all those questions. But, sometimes it feels like nobody's there. And so if students are feeling like they're speaking and no one's listening, or if they feel like they're invisible, well, if they walk into a church and they sit there, they come in here and they're expecting to see people and there's not enough people, then what signals are we really sending off? Because children are observant. Children notice stuff like that. They're very observant and they want to, see people there who's there for them, people who are listening. Because sometimes it's almost like high school can be like the forgotten generation. Adults, I think sometimes like we're almost like scared to talk to them, because we're not there in that environment with them. But at the same time, sometimes we wonder, why are the youth not more involved in the church, not just this church, but maybe the global church? Why are the youth and even millennials, right? Why are they not so involved in the church or engaged in the church? Well, maybe it's because the church isn't engaged in them. Because remember, it's not their job to seek us out. It's our job to seek them out. Right? God says, you need to teach them to them, not wait till they come to you and then answer a couple questions. It's diligently seek them out. Diligently tell them about me. Right? So that's the thing, because remember, we are passing this baton of Christianity, and this is a big deal. The baton started at the cross. Right? Once Jesus Christ went to the cross, he passed this baton down, man, he rose from the dead, and he gave it to his disciples. And the apostles took it, and they went, man, they put their lives on the line. They were martyred for this movement, right, for Christianity, for God to be on this. And then they pass it down. And the church has faced so much persecution all throughout the years and has survived, and with the hopes, like the people who are dying for this movement of Christianity have their hopes put in that somebody's going to come after me, somebody I've talked to, somebody that I pass this baton down to is going to continue this thing, and they're going to continue passing this Christianity down. And so it is our job, our responsibility to keep that thing going. And honestly, I don't want it to stop with me. I don't want to be the generation that God goes, uh-oh, do I need to put some fire over here? Because they're not listening. The kids are going astray and they're sitting there. Because see, our God seeks people out. Our God listens. Our God is there. And so I love it like in the book of Luke chapter 8. Right, the book of Luke chapter 8. Because Jesus always has time for the youth. And I love showing this to the youth. Like in book of Luke chapter 8, verses 40 through 42, Jesus is well into his ministry, okay? He's famous, all right? And there's a lot of people seeking to see him. So he's at the point he's been out doing what he does. He's teaching, he's preaching, he's healing. So he comes back to Samaria, which was his ministry headquarters, all right? And this happens in the book of Luke chapter 8, verses 40 through 42. It says, now when Jesus returned, the crowd welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And there came a man named Jairus, who was a ruler of the synagogue. And falling at Jesus' feet, he implored him to come to his house, for he had only one daughter of about 12 years of age, and she was dying. As Jesus went, the people pressed around him. So Jesus he comes back to Samaria, and there's a huge crowd waiting on him. So big that you can't even get to Jesus. So they're pressing around him. One version says that they were crushing him, which makes perfect sense. If Hey, everybody, the King of Peace is here. He's here to heal us and save us and be nice. And he's nice, he's compassionate, and he's humble, and he doesn't get angry that, so here's the King of Peace. Oh, the King of Peace is here. Well, let's crush each other to get to him, right? Let's elbow each other. Let's kick to try to get to the King of Peace. So, yeah, so here they are, okay? So they're crushing Jesus. They're trying to get around him, and I'm sure everybody has this to-do list for him, right? Mainly, they're probably wanting him to heal them, or they want him to come to the house to heal somebody else, or they need food, right? And so here they are. They're meeting Jesus with this big to-do list. So Jesus has all these options. He has all these options he can do. Who's he going to pick? The option he picks in the midst of all that is to go minister to a 12-year-old girl. He picks the youth, and he goes on his way. So I love it. See, Jesus always has time for our youth. He is hearing the cries and the pleas for our youth. So I love telling, students that, look, Jesus always has time for you. You may think God's not listening. You may think he's not on the way, but look, your miracle is right around the corner. Okay, Jesus is on his way. He is hearing you. He is coming to seek you out. So do not forget that. So the question for the church is, are we hearing the pleas and the cries for our youth? I know we have a big to-do list, right? We feel pressed. We feel like there's so many things going on. And, man, I got all this stuff. I got to be here. I got to be there. This person wants me to do that. I have all this going on. But are our ears tuned to our youth? And are we taking time to truly minister to them? Because, honestly, this isn't really a laughing matter, Like, I want to make today all fun and jokes and be, hey, we're going to have fun and stuff. And for the student ministry, it is. We have a good time. We have a good mixed time. We have a great time. But really, for the adults and for the nation, this isn't like a game, This isn't a joke. Think about who we're ministering to, the age raises. This is very serious to Jesus. Jesus always wants his youth to come to him. He always wants children. He never wants them to be inhibited from coming to him. In fact, there's actually this point where the disciples were stopping children from going to Jesus. And they're like, no, don't bother the master. And Jesus pretty much told them, don't you ever stop a child from coming to me. And he went and he took them in his arms and he embraced them. See, so our children, they're seeking Jesus out. But we don't want to stop them from seeing Jesus because of inactivity. Not because of activity, but because of our inactivity. Because like I said, think about the age ranges, that we're going through. 6th through 12th grade. They're becoming more and more into this world, right? They're growing more in this world physically, emotionally, spiritually. About to face some very heavy situations. They're gaining freedom, going to the mall a little bit, right? Being able to get dropped off. Eventually, they're going to start going to parties. And they're going to be around drugs and alcohol. They're going to be around sex. Are they going to know what to do? Do they have any biblical instruction on how to handle these? Because the world's definitely telling them how to do it. But is the church? See, they're stepping into a world like this. In the book of Ephesians, Paul describes it like this. Book of Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. He says, and you were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience. There's a spirit of disobedience to God in the world right now. The world has been turned over to the devil, and he's running rampant. He's all over the place, and that's what our children are stepping into. Our children are stepping more and more into this world that is anti-God almost, right? There's so much anti-God, anti-biblical teaching going on right now, and we're just sending them in there, right? This is what they're going into. So Paul says to combat this in Ephesians 6, 11 through 12, he says, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. The schemes of the devil. Our children are stepping into a spiritual war zone, and the only way to combat it is with spiritual armor. They're stepping into this war zone that a lot of adults are losing in. So if we just send our children there with no spiritual armor, with no spiritual teaching, they're sitting ducks, man. They don't have anything to combat this. This is our children we're talking about. This is the youth of our nation. This is the future generations to come to keep the church alive. And yes, the devil is absolutely scheming against our children. He's attacking their self-worth. I mean, all the bullying that goes on right now, it's even worse than before because now you can't get away from them. Now they're on social media. You should be able to go home a little bit and get a little bit of, relaxation from it. But now, no. Kids are committing suicide in record numbers. And who do you think is controlling that? We do not wrestle against flesh and blood. It's the devil using other people to attack people where they know they're weak. And our children, if they don't have the spiritual armor, do they have the helmet of salvation? Do they have the breastplate of righteousness? Do they have the shield of faith? Do they have the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God? Can they combat this? Oh, you're worth nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. My God died for me. I'm worth everything. Oh, you're overweight. You should kill yourself. What are we talking about? I am beautifully made. I am wonderfully and beautifully made. I am perfect just the way I am. So you know what? You need to go on with that mess. If they don't have biblical instruction, it's going to soak in and soak in and soak in. So much temptation in the world today. Like I said, they're going to be seeing drugs. They're going to be seeing alcohol. They're going to be seeing sex. Are they secure enough in themselves not to have to give themselves to another person to feel love? The number one place to feel love is through the love of God. Do they truly know the love of God enough to be able to wait for marriage? Can they have a good time without drinking? Oh, come on, everybody else is doing it. I don't care what you say. For one thing, it's against my parents. My parents would want me to do it. They're trusting me right now. I don't want to go against them, but also it's against God. Okay, I like who I am, and I don't want to make that decision right now. My youth pastor, showed me where all these people drank when they were young, and then maybe they get in a car wreck or something. So no, I don't want to do that right now. But if not, if all they have is the world and they care more about what their friends think about them than what God or the parents think about them, yes, please, I want to be a part of the crowd. Please give me that thing that you're doing so that I can be cool too. Let's just be honest. Glorifying same-sex relationships. Transgender. Oh, you don't feel good? Just change your gender. I mean, most of the kids don't even know what it means to be homosexual, really. I got a 12-year-old daughter. She's talking about, oh, my friend's this, my friend's that. And I said, what does that mean to you? And she said, and I said, you know what that really means? I explained to her. She said, oh, my God, that's disgusting. I said, that's my point, Haley. You don't even know. It's almost like a fad now, and it's being pushed. Anti-God, anti-biblical agenda, and our kids are soaking it up. And it's everywhere. It's in our music. It's on the TV, the culture, the elections right now, and everybody's hearing this and that. And if you don't believe this way, you're this. If you don't believe that way, you're that. And there's no research. There's nothing being done. They're just believing whatever's coming on YouTube and TikTok. And most of the, I'm sorry, but most of the actors and most of the sports people right now are not pushing a biblical agenda. And our kids are soaking it up. So yes, they want to be a part of something bigger, right? They want to be a part of this thing, right? They want to be a part of a greater scheme. And they have so many questions. And the worlds are providing so many avenues for them to feel good. The world's providing so many answers to these questions. But is the church? Do they have sound biblical instruction to guide them through this pivotal moment in their lives so that way we don't get sucked into the world and sucked into this and not, worse, just go away from God? Because we can't combat it. You can't just, we have to combat it. We can't just put them in a God box and lock them away and tell them, oh, you're not going away till you're 18. That's even worse. So while they're being exposed, that's when you hit it. Okay, this happened. Okay, well, let me show you what God says. All right, you have to combat it while it's happening. The exposure's happening, but we have to combat it while it's happening. But if we're not combating, they're not going to hear. Faith comes by hearing. If they're not hearing, they're not getting faith. That's why it says, blessed is the feet of those who bring good news. Because honestly, if they're not hearing that sin is wrong and God is right, what they're going to hear is that sin is right and God is wrong. So really, when you get down to it, it's not a laughing matter. See what I'm saying? This isn't a joke. This isn't a game. This is very serious time. So that's why we have ministries like this. And it's not a joke to God. Like to finish it up today in Matthew 18:6, Jesus says this, whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it will be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. That's not Jesus petting a little lamb anymore. That's not Jesus saying, okay, everything you're doing is okay. I forgive you, my son. Let's just work on this. No, that's Jesus saying, you know what? Here's a big millstone. Millstones were these huge circles that they would grind grain with. They were hundreds of pounds long. Jesus said, you know what? If you're going to keep teaching my little ones to sin, why don't you just go ahead and take that around your neck and go swimming for me? He's not happy about it at all. But we can do this, man. We can do this as a church. And we can come together, partner together to be there for our children, to be there for our youth, to be there for God, to be there for the future of the church, to be there in this world that's going more and more and more towards Satan. We can be there to help combat, man. We can be the light. We can be the love. We can be the guide that can help our children. So yes, parents, absolutely. If you want to help, please do, man. That's awesome. And also, send your children to youth. They may not always want to come, but, you know, when I was young, I didn't always want to go to youth group too. But later on in life, whenever I needed something to fall back on, that's what I fell back on. I mean, my parents taught me at home, like they say, you know, train up the child the way he will go, and, you know, he will never depart from it. It's there. It's in the back of the mind. People are going to go through life. They're going to go through this. But if the foundation of God isn't there, then what are they really going to fall back on? And last but not least, students. I tell students this all the time. Look, nobody's holding your hand going to the water fountain anymore. You know, you're gaining freedoms. You're getting more into this world. You're starting to make your own choices. And your choices are going to affect the rest of your life. You can make a choice now that could absolutely affect 40, 50 years from now. So what choices are you making? Right? What are you going to choose? Are you going to fall into the world? Are you going to fall into all this peer pressure? A choice you know you shouldn't make, but you're doing it for people? Or are you going to realize that high school and middle school doesn't last forever, and that you have a family to think about? You have a career to think about. You have a God to think about. Are you going to make choices based on that? So students, you make the choice to come. You make the choice to come. This is an absolutely good investment for your future. This is a spiritual investment where you will learn good foundational resources to be able to build off of for the rest of your life. So if no other thing, you come because you care enough about yourself to learn something different. Right? So yes. So today, so Wednesday, let's do it right, man. Let's do it right. Let's have a good time. We're going to come in, right? We're going to come in. We're going to have fun like we always do. We're going to learn about God. You know, we're going to start a new series. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So you know what? If you don't feel called to it, I understand, but at least pray. At least pray for us. At least pray for the youth. At least start giving attention. And if you know some youth, I mean, it's like Daniel said, they don't have to go to the church to be able to come here. If you know some, tell them. Tell them about the program. It's a nice, safe environment for students to come, to be able to have some fun, to be able to meet some people. You know, you don't have to worry about, you know, they're out there in the movies at 9 o'clock at night. God knows who they're meeting. They're in a dark movie theater. You know, you don't have to worry about that stuff. They're in a nice, safe environment. We have a lot of fun. There's different people here. So, yeah, tell them about it. Absolutely tell them about it. It's a great place, man. It's a great place. You know, so I just appreciate everybody's attention today. We thank you so much. And like I said, if you would, at least pray for the program so that way we can help guide and shape, you know. All right. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we thank you so much. God, we thank you so much that you never give up on us, God. Jesus, I thank you so much for your passion for your children. I thank you so much for your passion for me. Because I'm your child. I thank you so much for your passion for the rest of this crowd here, God, because we are your children. Jesus, you have modeled your passion for us. Jesus, you know that our children are living in a time right now that really the temptation is probably worse because of all the, we've got anything at our hands. You can walk to a tablet and find anything you want. There's hidden apps where kids can do whatever they want to on their phones and parents won't find out. God, there's so much going on right now. And you know, God, you know that our children are crying out. They're hurting. God, you know that our children need your instruction, God. You know that our children need your love. And so, God, you have this beautiful system set up where your generations partner together and take our youth in and show them this, God. God, I thank you for the wonderful students that you've given us, God. It's such a blessing that, youth can come in and just have some fun, but then, God, we get to learn about you. We get to pray. We get to learn your word, God. We get to learn what you say about things, God. We get to learn that you love us and that we don't have to fall into these things because that's not who makes us what we are. God, we find out what your identity is in us, and we hold on to that. So, God, as we start this program off, we pray that you bless it, God. If it's not for you, we can't do anything, Lord. And so, God, we pray that you bless it. Bless the volunteers with the wisdom and knowledge, God. Bless the students with wisdom and your love. And, God, I pray this Wednesday, God, we can all come out and show we love you, we care about you, and we have a God who's there for you.